Premier League footballers probably should be good at FPL, but loads of them either don't play it or don't take it seriously. But today we're speaking to a manager that does. He finished 145th in FPL last year, and he's a former Premier League footballer that played for his boyhood team, Leicester. He's played against Ronaldo, Beckham, Louis Saha, and he's also on for another worldy season this time out. I've played football with him at centre-back. He's an absolute baller. He's my mate, and he's an awesome FPL manager. Welcome to the show, Matt Heath. Matt, how you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, really good. What an intro, Jeremy.
I know, mate. I rehearsed that to death, so I'm glad you liked it. I didn't.
You just told me that was the first time.
Oh, mate, lovely to see you again. When we spoke last season, you were on for an absolute worldy season, and obviously you finished 145th.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about, like, before we talk FPL, about you playing football, because a former Premier League footballer that's this good at FPL isn't something you see every day.
No, it's not. But like you said, a lot of, well, in my day, and I'm 43 years old now, but in my day, we all played FPL, and it was probably in the infancy of the game. And we all played it. Obviously, we wanted to win, but there probably wasn't as much following, as much content 15 years ago or so. So it was just kind of pick who you think's going to score a goal. And there was a little bit of rivalry on team buses on the way home and kind of in the changing room. So it was just fun. And then for me, since I finished playing football, this is a bit of a football fix for me, if I'm going to be honest.
Is it? Yeah.
It keeps me watching football at the weekend. I do follow Leicester City. I've not got a season ticket, but I do the odd commentary on BBC Radio Leicester with them, and I do take a little bit of an interest into the Foxes. But all in all, playing FPL keeps me really interested in every other team in the Premier League, and yeah, it keeps me kind of current in the current players. If not, I don't play FIFA, I don't play Championship Manager anymore. I'd probably just fall away, and I don't want that, because football's a big part of my life.
I love that. And I've spoken to footballers in the past that do a lot of, like, say, commentary and stuff. And yeah, like you, they said it's really good for keeping it relevant. Like, if you're on it on FPL, you're going to know all those players. You're going to know sort of some of the tactical nuances, stuff that you might not take a huge interest in as just a Leicester fan or just a Man United fan.
Exactly. And especially now we got promoted this season, and it's Premier League football at the King Power. It's perfect. So when, like I said, I only do the odd one or two, but when I get a call up and we're playing against Fulham, for example, I know most of the Fulham players already because I'm following them on FPL.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Mate, let's talk a little bit about your season to date, because it's been a hell of a start. Like, you moved into the top, well, around 500k at game week 5. And then it just, one red arrow then, but then it was like 200k, 300k, then broke into the top 100k. And now, as we record this, we're mid-game week 19, so we won't say exactly where you are, but you're firmly, from game week 18, inside the top 5k and sitting very, very pretty with chips in hand and a good-looking team. How have you got there?
I have written a bit of a kind of a list of what I think I've done well this season. But I've had a good start. It was straight off from game week 1, I think just above there, I was around 1 million straight away, and I never felt like, well, I didn't go above 1.1 or 1.2 million. So it was a good start. Obviously, you've got to have a good base team at the beginning of the year. I think I used my wild card in roughly around game week 5 or 6, maybe from memory. So as long as you get through them first 4 or 5 weeks, I feel, then you've got a good foundation to your season. I think one thing that I've found as the season's gone on, I've picked a few players ahead of the curve, and that might be just because I like to look at the fixtures. I like to look at expected goals, especially for teams as a whole. And if they're coming into a run of playing teams that are leaking a little bit too much, then I've tried to get ahead of the curve. So looking into the future is important. And then I feel like now in the recent weeks, if you want to, I can talk about EO and my feelings on EO, but I don't have any threats to me at the minute. In game week 18, I use FPL Live. So on game week 18, I didn't have one threat in my team, and I had 3 or 4 good differential picks. So I just felt so. And again, this week I feel the same. I only had one threat, and I can talk to you about that in a minute. But if you don't have any threats and you've got loads of differentials, you just need one or two of them to get one or two returns, and you're flying. So I do honestly, at the minute, I feel confident that even if I do get a red arrow, it's not going to be a big one.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to push you on EO later then, because that is a really interesting discussion to have. And it's music to my ears. Yeah, a footballer, a former Premier League footballer talking about things like EO. You're an absolute FPL nerd like us, mate. I love it. Let's get to your team for game week 20, because some of these players you've owned short term, some you've owned for a while. I want to look at how you're set up, because it's a very impressive looking squad, not just 11. Like when I look at your bench, you've got strength and depth there. Just talk to me a little bit about triple Arsenal first and foremost, because Arsenal in a little bit of a now difficult is a strong term, because they're Arsenal, they can keep clean sheets against anyone. But in terms of clean sheets and maybe goals without Saka, you could argue their fixtures are a little bit difficult.
Yeah, 100% they're difficult, but like they're a functioning team. They're vying for the title. Quite clearly, with the history, they keep clean sheets, and these set pieces are unbelievable that they're taking at the minute. So for me, why would you not have two defenders that have the chance of keeping clean sheets, and they're both getting returns from corners? The set piece coach, and I know this is probably a new thing in football, and I think it's absolutely amazing. Obviously, as a defender and as a coach myself, watching set pieces and what the top teams are doing is brilliant. It's getting more like basketball, where they're making little blocks, not big blocks, so they're fouls. And Arsenal are the best at it. You watch Liverpool against Leicester City, and they're trying to copy them now, starting at the back. And I feel like they've started a new trend in football, and something that I've just got to hop on in FPL. So hence the reason why I've got two defenders, and I can't honestly see, unless an injury occurs or another opportunity happens, I can't see me going away from them too. And then with Saka getting injured, it was a little bit of a week where I was thinking about who to replace him with. Odegaard was one of my top choices, and luckily I went with him over Bruno. Bruno red card. Odegaard obviously only got 3 points last week, but I feel like just at the minute he was a safe option to go with. Differential, again, in a good team. I thought my narrative I built was that he'd be a little bit more attacking now. He'd take a bit more responsibility. Now Saka's not playing. And only time will tell with him. If he frustrates me in a couple of weeks, I'll see what other options I've got.
Yeah, it does feel like your team is full of players from good teams. You know, you've got double Villa attack. You've got obviously triple Arsenal, double Liverpool. You've got Isak in there. I'm going to ask you about that front line, because the double, well, I think Ollie Watkins is a really interesting option now. Guys, before I do, if you want to hit that subscribe button to support the channel, please do. Also hit the like button. That'd be amazing. Also drop your comments and I'll get back to you in the chat. Ollie Watkins, mate, what do you reckon? Because obviously John Duran being suspended helps Watkins. I'm guessing you've recently brought him in. This is a fixtures play, is it? Like
this is a calculated risk, Gianni. This was a fixtures play, calculated risk. I had Kuna. I decided to sell him this week, the one we're in mid-game week, which again, he only got 1 point. He picked up a slight hamstring strain, I think. So halfway through this game week, I've got lucky because my transfer out has failed. I just thought very low ownership. He's got Brighton home, Leicester home in the next 2 games, and Duran is suspended. I just thought it was an opportunity that I couldn't not take.
Yeah,
and again, any time we'll
do it.
Yeah, and I did it. I was hoping Kuna was going to get suspended actually and not play Tottenham, but he wasn't, and I still went for it anyway. So again, I can play Watkins for 2 games, see how he goes. If he's not firing, or if he's got lack of match fitness, or if he is actually, I think there's something there. I think he might be carrying a small injury, or maybe there might be a transfer on the horizon in January. Who knows? Hence the reason why he's not been playing. But I can always swap him out for maybe a Jackson or a Chris Wood in the next couple of game weeks if it doesn't work.
Mate, talk to us about Chris Wood. As a former centre-back, you must have played against, because Chris Wood's old school, right? Chris Wood is a striker that would have been quite common when you were at your peak or early your career.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't see many Chris Woods. Centre-backs aren't used to marking a Chris Wood. Do you think because of that, he causes more problems? Because it's like the modern-day centre-back probably doesn't play against too many Chris Woods.
The modern-day centre-back doesn't like, in my opinion, the physical side of the game.
It's crazy.
And again, yeah, Chris Wood, he has that build, he has that stature, but he has to be careful as well because fouls are given a lot easier. So he is very clever. He's got a little nudge here and there. And I know from playing against players his size and the broadness of his shoulders, it just takes one little nudge to off balance you. And the amount of little flick-ons he's getting, and I think there was from the Everton game a flick-on and a couple of headers before he scored his looping header. I love him. I'm waiting for him to stop because his underlying stats aren't shining. Nice. He's scoring goals from very little attempts. I think he's had 3 shots, hasn't he, in 2 games?
Yeah, and they're not often that big XG chances. It's just he's really efficient this year. And the team's set up to provide for him, aren't they? Like the wing backs there with their crosses, seeing the heading exchange between him and Alanga yesterday for his goal, his little lob over Pickford. Yeah. I mean, he's built. Have you played against Chris Wood? I'm trying to think. Would he have been around? Would he have been a kid when you were kind of on your way out?
This might sound really silly, but I feel like I have, but I can't guarantee I have. You've played so many games over your career and play against so many different players, and like you say, he would have been a lot younger then.
You don't go back through and go, oh, have I played against him? I'll go check, because you could go into the archives, I guess. But that's what you.
There's a great website. There is a great website you can go on and just go, oh, who played in that game? Who played in that game? So sometimes I do, obviously not that much, but I'd say I probably haven't, but I just feel like if I haven't, I have played against players, like you said, very similar mold to his style of play. Yeah,
okay. Looking at that front line, you've got, it's almost like 3 enablers, your 6th, 7th and 8th attacker in João Pedro with your 2 5 million mids. Same setup I've got, by the way. And I guess it's rotation between the 3. Are you fairly happy with Enzo, Rodgers, João Pedro as a 3 rotating? Or do you see future transfers with those guys maybe leaving a squad?
I think there's a couple more you could add to it. Amad's half putting his hands up at Man U, but again,
Sarr at Palace as well.
I really like Sarr at Palace. Again, I looked a little bit last night knowing I was coming on here, but his numbers yesterday, I think he had over 1 expected goal involvement for the game. So he was looking up.
He did. Yeah, Eze was about 0.4 and got the points, but Sarr was over 1.
Exactly. So I do like Sarr. I'd love to get him in the team, but at the minute, I just feel like it's a transfer I don't need to make. Rodgers obviously picks up a hole every now and again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you rotate, which has happened to me, I've had a couple of Rodgers' points on the bench.
The 14-pointer the other week, he was on a lot of benches. I'm guessing you and I included. That hurt.
No, that one he was in my team.
Oh.
But the few previously, I think he's had a 9 and a 7 or something. They've been on the bench. But no, luckily my Rodgers 14-pointer I did get. But again, Enzo, he's just watching the games. He's picking up some higher positions. He's playing as a mirrored position, I think, to Cole Palmer, just on the other side. Yeah. Obviously a different type of player, but he's in the box all the time. So for me, at 5 million in a Chelsea team that are very attacking, he's another great option to have. So Rodgers and Enzo, I can't see again. I can't see them going out my team at the minute. And João Pedro. He's a magic man who will go missing for 2 games, but then he'll come up and score a penalty and a couple of other goals. So he's a great player to have in that team that doesn't cost a lot of money and enables you to get Isak and Watkins.
Yeah, I like that. Mate, Milenkovic, I feel like many watching this right now will have watched a lot of my videos all season, including pre-season, and therefore a lot of them will probably own a Forest defender or goalkeeper. But when I look at the masses, very few managers own and cover Nottingham Forest defence. All season, since pre-season, I've been banging on about Nuno is good at clean sheets and he's got the tools to do it at Forest. They're going to be great. As we record this, they've got 8 clean sheets, same as Liverpool, top of the charts. The Forest defenders are cheap. Why is a Forest defender not in every squad? Because Milenkovic, Aina, Matt Sells, if you want to go for the goalkeeper, Like, that's so good at the back.
Oh,
How impressed have you been with them?
yeah, amazing. Again, like you say, this season they've got a style of play where they don't give up many chances, but have got a little bit of flair going forward, similar to Everton. I like what Sean Dyche does. He's very compact. He knows what's important in football. However, Forest have got that little bit more going forward, and obviously with, I would say, Chris Wood, Morgan Gibbs-White, Elanga is doing well. They can create as well. I got Milenkovic in on my game, on my wild card in game week 6, and he's not left since. And as a kind of a fourth defender, again, why would I change him out? I honestly, I've got 3 transfers this week, and I can't see why or what transfers I need to make at the minute. So I might just build them or wait for, like I say, an injury or what might come about, or Watkins stood in, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, really impressed with Forest this season. Great. I'm sure they'll finish really high up. It won't be just a half season wonder. They've got a good foundation to their play.
Yeah. Trent, man, 15 points. Was it? How many points did he get on Sunday? Huge points.
He got 15. Yeah,
it was 15. I feel like a step ahead in the respect that you've got him in place. A lot now will be going to Trent. The Liverpool double game week will make a difference to that. That could drop into 24, 25 guys. We'll let you know as soon as we know. Do you see triple Liverpool on the cards for that? And if so, who would be the third Liverpool player you go to? Because Gakpo's putting his hand up. Alisson's putting his hand up. You've got Pickford in place, who's good. Where's that third Liverpool spot likely to go? Jota, if he becomes a starter again, which he should do.
There's a massive one you've not said.
Diaz? Go on. Van Dijk?
No, mate. The Arnie Slot chip.
Oh, of course. Assistant manager chip. Go on. What's your thinking there then? You get 6 points for a win. So, it's a good...
I mean, at the minute, I've not looked into it too much, but they've got a double game week coming up.
Yeah.
I have done a little bit of reading, and it suggested maybe that in game week 24 you can use it with their double game week. I love Diaz. I love Jota as players. I love Gakpo actually as a player, but for an FPL pick, I don't like players that you're always checking if they're going to be starting.
I can see by your lineup, you like 90-minute reliable assets, and you're not there for a Foden or a Jota per se. Perhaps like I am, which I know is one of my faults as an FPL manager. I'll get 70 minutes of Gakpo. That's fine. But you're looking at your 90-minute men.
Yeah, especially around Christmas when games are thick and fast and there's rotating teams, and I felt like I always love it when someone gets benched and I've not got them, because that's why I do and why I've picked these players for this time of the year. I know I am really flirting with Diaz because I think he is the second standout striker at Liverpool. I'm flirting with Van Dijk and I'm flirting maybe with Alisson, but again, Pickford's been a rock for me. I don't need to change him. And I do half feel like I can just leave it and open up that slot for my third Liverpool asset as the manager.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have seen like Slot produce, for example, in a 3-game week period already this season. We've had a 31 from Slot. And that is, of course, without a double game week. That's just 3 games. So you get points, we know, for winning games and for scoring goals. But you do also get that bonus 10 points if you beat a team 5 above you. If I'm you, though, and I'm flying this season, I probably am very happy with my 6 points for a win and therefore a Slot. If you're me and you're at 1 million and you're chasing, going for an Iraola who can beat teams 5 places above to access bonus gives you a higher upside but higher risk. So it's going to be such an interesting chip. And I think the Slot reference is a really fair point for that double game week. And look, might even be something I consider. You still got triple captain, or did you use it?
No, I've used it. I used it early on Haaland when he scored
the 2.4 XG.
1 minute goal. Great.
6-pointer.
6 points, brilliant.
No bonus. 2.4 XG in that game. Is Haaland's only ever recorded a higher XG once in his entire career at Man City. That's how ridiculous it was. I also went that week. Okay, yeah, I like that. In terms of captaincy for game week 20 and transfers, you got 3 in the bank. You don't need to make one. You're likely to be rolling. Most Salah captains, easy discussion, isn't it, this week?
I think so. I think I was half flirting with Palmer this current week. He's yet to play, so we don't know what he's going to produce against Ipswich. But you'd have missed out on the Hall of Salah yesterday, and I just think that cemented him as you go-to captain every week. Why would you go against him? I think if you ask yourself that question, or you can make an argument to go against him, go for it. Again, in a higher rank and looking at EO, if I captain Salah every week, neither of them are going to hurt me or gain that much. So just to keep steady at that rank, I have to go Salah. If I go Palmer, it's a massive gamble and it can pay off and it can backfire. So for me, I don't like playing with fire, and Salah is bang on every week now.
Yeah, no, absolutely hear that. Mate, effective ownership, you mentioned earlier. I want to just get your take because you have done very well by going, I don't have players that can hurt me. And therefore, you've got players that are highly owning a team. But also, to have that combination with some differentials is what separates you. And that's what gets you into the top 10K, right? It's by going, I've got a great team with everything in place, but I can also go, I've got a differential in the respect that I've got a Watkins or I've got Timber who got 3 bonus points last time out. Is that kind of something you're always conscious of then, EO?
I'm looking at it all the time, and it's not an easy. You can't just go, I'm going to pick them players to get there. You have to work your season to that point, and your team value need to be at a half decent level to get there. Obviously, the higher your team value, the better your differentials can be, or the more expensive they can be. And it does take a fair few weeks of the season to get to that point. And like I said to you, just or was it on air, off air, whatever it was, last week was the first week where I didn't have one player classed as a threat. I'm not sure, is it over 30%? Is classed as a threat. And that just felt like I'm in a win-win situation here. I just need 1 or 2 slight returns from one of my differential under 30% owned players. And last week I had a couple. I'm hoping for this week to get a couple. And I think that's probably the key, picking them 1 or 2 players that are low owned and they've got a good fixture run and they have a good solid minutes or the penalty takers and they pick up a bit of form. So it's just getting ahead of the curve and planning it in that way and taking in every bit of information as you can. I do listen to a few content creators myself, and you can't copy them. It's impossible because everyone has a different opinion and they're conflicting. So you can't do everything, but whatever you feel like, there might be one comment that's made that I listen to in the week and I'm thinking, no, that makes total sense, and I'll roll with that. So that's probably one of the things that I look to do.
Yeah, I like that. Mate, you're very well set for the second half of the season. Any idea when you might play chips like wildcard? Will it be all chip strategy dependent, probably like me on the double game weeks and when they drop, and how teams do in the FA Cup and the EFL Cup final will determine a lot moving forward for those doubles?
100%. Yeah, I think for me, it does look like the chips will be used around game week 31, 32, 33 in that period of the season. And again, when you get to that stage of the season, I can determine how aggressive you want to go with it, depending on what rank you are, where you want to finish, what your goals are, where you are in your mini league, what your opponents are doing in your mini leagues. So for me, it's one of them where I'm looking at the manager chip, and I think that game week 24, if that double does drop in there, I don't know if it been officially announced?
No, it's likely to be 24 or 25. And the good thing for us is, well, for many, if you've got your triple captainship, they'll be going Salah. But the fact that we don't have our triple captainship, to still use it invested in Liverpool could be a real win for us. Because many, of course, will use it on Salah triple captain, as you probably should. But maybe it'll work out for us by going a slot or a Dyche or whoever,
And you can transfer your manager, can't you? So
yeah, it's great. It's great that. You're going to have transfers in the bank as well, mate. If you've got 3 now with this team, keep those transfers, because using them on managers could be really valuable.
It could be, but for me, it's exciting. It's a different chip. It's not how I would call it, a luck play. There's still some kind of strategy behind it, and I'm sure the more engaged managers will come out on top over someone just flipping a coin with it. So it was clever. It was really clever chip. Good for the geeks, eh?
I'd say so too. Yeah, definitely. It's bad for the casuals, good for the geeks. Good stuff, Matt. I look forward to checking in with you as the season goes on. But yeah, if you've enjoyed today's show, please do show your appreciation by subscribing, by liking, by dropping a comment. And we'll be back with my team selection in a day or two. I'll also drop a wildcard draft maybe this week as well. So stay tuned for that. Any final thoughts from you, Matt?
Let's just hope Leicester stay up. Big Leicester City fan.
Yeah.
Not sure about the prospects of us moving forward, but if we can get one or two players just start to fire, then let's go with that.
Oh, mate, well, good luck, because you're going to need it. Those newly promoted teams, it's rare we see the three that come up go down, but obviously that'll be the bookies' favourites for all three to be back down this year, and all are in the relegation zone. So fingers crossed for you, man. Also my local team, so I would love Leicester to stay up. Guys, that's all we've got time for today. We'll see you soon for another video. Bye-bye.